Just like a deer in headlights, I saw your moment freeze. I'm pulling all the tricks out, I'm never losing faith. With your pseudo replacement, you watch me interface. In the humiliation, it leaves no place to go. You taste the frustration, hope you digest it slow. On and on I try to find a lover with a peace of mind. All in all I'm never shown, wonderful it is. The plans I made you threw it all away. Erased from my existence, the evidence was burned. Your missing phone book pages will prevent your return. On and on I try to find a lover with a peace of mind. And all in all I'm never shown, wonderful it is to be alone.
Thank you for joining. A little bit of a late start this morning, but a little bit closer to on schedule. Stick around because we've got music. We've got a little bit of a news that is going to shake you up a little bit, of course. And we may have someone joining us as a co-host today. So that might be interesting. Thank you for joining and stick around.
Please do not be alarmed by anything you see or hear around you. You are bound to feel some initial ill effects as you've been rescued from certain death at an improbability level of 2 to the power of 267,709 to 1 against, possibly much higher. We are now cruising at a level of 2 to the power of 25,000 to 1 against and falling, and we will be restoring normality as soon as we are sure what is normal anyway. Thank you.
WDRN Productions and WDRN production staff may be considered complete works of fiction. Any similarity to reality is only due to the dimensional rift in the perspective vortex. Please adjust your perspective vortex translator devices for enjoyable listening pleasure. WDRN can take no responsibility for improperly adjusted perspective vortex translations and currently operating at the frequency of somatic 900 megahertz.
Hey y'all, if using the agenda here, if you're an independent journalist struggling to get your story out, contact one of our mediators in our chat room for review. Get your story featured on the Hawk Ethernet Radio, part of the Wicked Development Radio Network. Flash submission guidelines: video or portion must not be longer than 3 minutes, or may be played with a startup point of 3 minutes. All material submitted to WDRN is the sole responsibility of the submitter. All content is fair use practice. With your help, WDRN will rise to the top of all available news networks. This has been Defusing the Agenda. Thank you for tuning in.
This is Groove Birds right here on WDRN. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Got to be going, traveling alone. is real. Find your way out in time from days gone past. We see anew. We will move past this. We're through. I sometimes wonder. I sometimes wonder. I sometimes wonder. Do you?
Simulcast exactly 1 year in the future. The Hawk, Ethernet Radio.
Memories of ghosts in the hall. Never did your killing, well that's for sure. Down to your bedpost, honey, yeah, let me out. You know how I get without your love, without your love, Sam. I want you to leave me alone, Angeline. I want you to leave me alone, Angeline. I want you to leave me alone. Unless you want me to come back home, Angeline, won't you leave me alone? Memories of ghosts in the hall. Never did show killing, well that's for sure. You got my bags back, headed for the door. Never give you money, give you love, honey, what for? What for? I want you to leave me alone, Angeline. I want you to leave me alone, Angeline. I want you to leave me alone. Unless you want me to come back home, Angeline, won't you leave me alone? Angeline, I want you to leave me alone, Angeline. I want you to leave me alone, Angeline. I want you to leave me alone. Unless you want me to come back home, Angeline, won't you leave me alone?
The paperwork is in. They finalized your divorce to that other station.
All right, thank you for joining. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, get you going in the morning, get that coffee going. I've got coffee going. We've got some news coming up here that's going to blow your freaking mind, and I apologize for it, but that's just what it is.
We wish we were that big. They wish they were this good. The Hawk Ethernet Radio.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for joining. We have a co-host this morning. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Drew. I'm first time this.
Gotcha. Yeah, we were talking last night. We got back from the Tesla Tech and stuff like that. Have you ever seen these triangle ships that seem to levitate with no moving parts and stuff?
I haven't personally, but I do have a friend who has.
Okay.
I know I seen a ship last year, but it looked more diamond shaped.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm talking about the tabletop version that the Mythbusters. They shown that it worked and then put it in a vacuum and said that it didn't.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm still waking up here.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, but they had those demonstrated. There was a guy by the name of Russell Anderson down there. You can actually buy a kit for these little frame models and prove that the propulsion does work. The kit's only about $20, $25 plus shipping. And there's some parts you're going to have to get separately. Just simply because he doesn't want to ship out, high voltage to an 8-year-old or something. He wants verification before he ships that.
Right.
But yeah, no, this is bizarre, man. I mean, we have UFOs in this area. I mean, there's a lot of people that's reported them. I go down to Old Town, start talking to, the old folks sitting around coffee table, and they all got a story, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
You sent me a picture of a triangle, too, from a friend of yours. You said he came back all disheveled.
Yeah. He actually got a few pictures of it. And he said it was really strange as it seemed to pull into the area because he works at Sweetheart Lanes in Dublin. Mm-hmm. And he said he went out on break and everything seemed to be really quiet. He couldn't even hear the highway next to the place. And he started noticing the clouds seemed to be pulling together, so he started just taking pictures. And in one of the pictures, you can kind of see there's a multi-level object trying to, recamouflage itself.
Right. So basically, the clouds were regularly dispersed, and then all of a sudden they attracted to somewhere and then created the triangle.
Yeah.
And it looked more like a hole in the
shape behind it.
It looked more like a hole in the clouds rather than it being surrounded. Did it eventually cover over? Or?
As far as I know, it did. It kind of covered. The whole area wound up just clouded within just a few minutes.
Right.
But
and
he said there was almost no clouds in the sky prior to it.
Was there? How big was this thing? I mean, the average triangle that we see, is a little bit larger than a city bus or something like that. How big was this thing?
He said this one was pretty good size. It was probably a little bit bigger than the building that he was at.
Oh, you mean like a city block or something?
They said it was probably a little bigger than the bowling alley that he worked with in.
Oh, wow. Bowling alley's a pretty big building, though,
Yeah.
You get 10 lanes, you got a heck of a large area there, you got 5,000 square feet almost.
Yeah.
One of the things that's always made me wonder, why do they just sit there? I mean, it's not like they're doing any work or anything. You don't see, things going up there with loads of food or anything. They're not loading, they're not unloading, they're just sitting there.
Right?
That doesn't make any sense to me. There was a lady up in PA that she was watching these things land in her backyard. And she had second generation, third generation infrared, and she was recording them almost every night, whether it was cloudy, you know, or anything. It's just they were visiting her for whatever reason. And one of the photographs that she took shown a light coming from it, stretching to the ground, which is the first time I seen any work being performed. And it took me a little while to realize that this light was focused on a car at a crossroads, leaving the crossroads, and it was following this car, this light shining on this car at a 90-degree angle. And I started, you know, when I seen that, it's like, okay, that is the, you know, the question. What work are they doing? It's one thing in order to just sit there. But I'm sorry, you know, an 80-year-old guy sitting on the porch rocking all day, okay, fine. But it's a heck of a thing when you have to take a piece of equipment out like that in order to sit on the porch, you know what I mean?
Right.
You'd think they'd have some other way of you know, sitting there without being noticed, and apparently they don't want to be noticed, and there seems to be some kind of an argument whether they want to be or not now.
Yeah. Well, like a friend of mine, he's been looking into the guy from the future or whatever that says that in 2022 we go to war with the aliens and just all this crazy stuff about it.
Well, actually, a lot of that crazy stuff seems to be turning out to be true lately, which scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
You know, but then again, the truth has always been a little bit crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, it all seems crazy until it actually starts, you know, showing itself.
Yeah, well, it's obviously it's all a conspiracy. You know, school is a conspiracy, taxes are a conspiracy. As long as they don't declare my you know, sliced roast beef sandwich a conspiracy, I think I might be able to get through this. You know, when they start calling, you know, grilled cheese sandwiches conspiracy, I'm going to dump them, okay?
Right.
All right, well, thank you for joining, people. We have, go ahead and introduce yourself again.
My name is Drew.
Drew. We have Drew on the line, and he's might turn out to be our co-host here for a little while, testing it out. He's actually from Fort Collins, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, and it might be that we might be able to meet up a little bit later today if you're mobile, maybe down at Old Town, or have a cup of coffee or something. Up next, we have a little bit more music. Stick around. Thank you for joining today.
He's a beacon bright with all the pride of youth. He's a liar, but he always tells the truth. Fallen angel, prone to give out good advice. It might be that I believed him once or twice. Still me.
Mouse and Your Coffee Show. We have a co-host, if you're just tuning in. I'm going to again let him introduce himself. How you doing today?
Pretty good. My name's Drew. Nice being here.
Well, I appreciate you joining, Drew. I've been running this show for about 2 years now. It's been normally pretty solo, but I just simply kind of run out of material, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of news in the headlines here today, and I'd like to go ahead and cover that, a little bit of this today. High school soccer coach's daughter dies at practice with her club, Texas school says. And I'm wondering if this might have something to do with the fact that since it's the high school soccer coach's daughter, first of all, I'm thinking, you know, if he's involved with the high school, I wonder if this girl had COVID, you know.
Yeah.
They have people exercising quite commonly, you know, a lot of calisthenics and stuff in school. It's known that, you know, football players will collapse on the field from exhaustion or other reasons, but I'm just kind of wondering what actually put the pressure on her. The daughter of a high school soccer coach died during practice with her club team on Tuesday. Maura Claire Barney, 15, was about to start her sophomore year at McAllen High School, located about 150 miles south of Corpus Christi, near the U.S.-Mexico border. School principal Al Chalens said in a statement, school starts on August 23rd. Rio Grande Valley FC Toros Academy administrator, wow, these names are just off the hook. Okay, Louis, okay, confirmed the death that occurred Tuesday. Further details about the nature of the death were not made public. The club is not affiliated with the RGV FC Toros. It has come to our attention a young lady collapsed yesterday at soccer practice while training with the Toros Academy and later passed. Toro said in a statement, according to RGV News, our hearts go out to the family and friends, loved ones during the difficult time. We join them in their mourning and loss. There doesn't seem to be a donation or link here, so I'm going to kind of leave it at that. But again, rather than reading all of this, we grieve the passing of a 15-year-old. But again, it just makes me wonder with the juvenile, you know, I need a new word for that. I don't know what to do with it. Rather than using side effect, obviously it's not a side effect, you know.
Right.
But they are claiming that they are suffering from expansion or swelling of the heart, and that's another reason why a lot of people are, well, basically avoiding that, because you get older, the idea of, you know, caring for your heart and stuff like that is always there. Tell me, have you went out and got vaccinated yet, or I mean, what's the story with you? Are you waiting for the U.S. Army to mandate it?
I actually had COVID like almost 3 months before the World Health Organization announced it to the United States.
Wow. Now, I suspect I did. I had a flu, you know, the symptoms of a flu, and, you know, I never have a flu any more than 1 day. Everyone says it's a 3-day flu. I'm just too hyperactive to be put down by, you know, that. Now, whether or not I was still, you know, technically sick and just overly enthusiastic and excitable, or whether or not, you know, I have that kind of immunity, I'm not sure. But I will tell you, I was down for almost 20 days with, you know, sore cough, low frequency, deep cough that, you know, just irritated. And I'm pretty sure that I probably had it as well.
Yeah, when I had it, it was really strange. It was almost like every day I had 2 random symptoms.
Yeah, a little bit, you know, like, you know, your leg would fall off one day, and the next day your pinky would fall off or something. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and because it hadn't been announced to the United States yet. Like, my doctor was trying to figure out what I had. I was trying to figure it out. I was sick for like almost 3 weeks. And just couldn't figure it out for nothing. And then after I had gotten better, a few months went by, and then the World Health Organization finally announced it to the United States and gave the list of symptoms, and I started going through it, and everything I had was fitting. It just kind of blew me away. I was like, they're just now announcing this to the United States. Why couldn't they announce it months earlier?
Right.
Like, how did it get all the way to Colorado before they even knew it was a thing?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it was a thing. I think that, you know, the common cold, it took a lot of people to be convinced that it was a political ploy that was worth it.
Yeah.
And I think that politicizing this entire thing has destroyed their credibility, not only their credibility, switching back and forth, but also the medical field's credibility. A lot of people do not trust this vaccine. And then we have stories that are coming out that, well, the Surgeon General, let me see if I can find, I found the Surgeon General is actually asking, what the hell is a booster shot? There is no such thing. And to me, now they're saying, oh, there is no need for a booster shot. And yet the mainstream media continues to pump the idea. And I'm just wondering if this is driven by the media or is this driven by medical? And so far, the only thing we can see is the political side of it. So the determination whether this is actually even deadly is, you know, up to, you know, it's just, we don't know.
Well, and then, like, you know, a lot of this stuff where it's being designed by Bill Gates.
That's
you
a
know,
concern. Now, yes, it's absolutely a concern. But I mean, the problem is Bill Gates doesn't have. Bill Gates does not have a medical background to throw something in there.
Yeah.
He has to depend on somebody else.
Yeah, it's always perplexed me. Like, why are we even listening to Bill Gates about any of this? He's a software engineer. He doesn't have a medical background.
Well, the thing that is, he's supposed to be this, you know, mega philanthropist, and you know, in that respect, and that's the problem. In addition to that, the U.S. reports more than 1,000 COVID deaths in a single day. We had that already. We've seen that already. And if you compare that to the 2018 flu epidemic, we actually had much higher numbers. We actually had a 3% mortality rate, whereas the mortality rate for this, after they settled the numbers down, didn't appear to go above 1.5.
It's even further down now that they've produced better numbers. It seems to be that it's a 99.7% survival rate.
Yeah, so I mean, and then they, one of the things they keep forgetting is to mention whether or not it is vaccinated or unvaccinated people. They seem not to separate the two.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if you've seen, I'm trying to remember which, one of the Middle Eastern countries recently done a blind study watching the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated and the so-called Delta variant.
Right.
But apparently something like 70% of the people that have been vaccinated are the ones catching the Delta variant. Those that have already had COVID don't seem to be catching the Delta variant.
Right. And one of the things that that strikes me is the story of Typhoid Mary. They seem to want to project a cold to compare to Typhoid Mary, depending on your resistance to a cold to begin with.
Right.
You know, so that I mean, if you're resistant to the cold and you have an antibody from it, guess what? You're now Typhoid Mary rather than having an antibody for it. So, I mean, until these news stories start slowing down, okay, or start regulating themselves so that we can actually make a determination ourselves. We can't have these people contradicting each other constantly and then expect a normal reaction from the public. You know, especially, you know, when they're talking about mandate, which is nothing more than medical rape.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that it's being mandatory is kind of seems like it's overstepping.
Right, exactly. And again, I do not see, we don't even have FDA approval yet, even though they're claiming that is, and then they're pressuring the military. I don't see the military compromising the entire standing army. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. The military doesn't do anything until it's at least proven 10 years. And it doesn't even matter if it's an M1 rifle. They will not touch it until it's proven its performance. And the demands for the military in order to do that, I think, are completely floof. But then it makes me wonder, will this actually weaken our military position, or could we be dealing with something that was invented in World War II called a binary virus or a binary poison? So you receive one poison and you're fine all your life, except if you're exposed to the second part of it.
Huh.
So, well, it was a way of poisoning someone without detection.
Yeah.
You know, so that was one of the things the Germans developed. I think they actually developed it rather late in the war. I think it was the end of 43, but I'd actually have to check the text. But I mean, that's one of the little trivia pieces I've picked up throughout the years working with this. So I just don't know what to do about it. All right, we're going to go ahead and throw up some more music here, and our waiver, of course, since of the conversation that we're having here. And this is Devil May Care right here on WDRN. Thank you for tuning in.
Please do not be alarmed by anything you see or hear around you. You are bound to feel some initial ill effects as you've been rescued from certain death at an improbability level of 2 to the power of 267,709 to 1 against, possibly much higher. We are now cruising at a level of 2 to the power of 25,000 to 1 against unfalling, and we will be restoring normality as soon as we are sure what is normal anyway. Thank you.
WDRN Productions and WDRN production staff may be considered complete works of fiction. Any similarity to reality is only due to the dimensional rift in the perspective vortex. Please adjust your perspective vortex translator devices for enjoyable listening pleasure. WDRN can take no responsibility for improperly adjusted perspective vortex translations and currently operating at the frequency of somatic 900 MHz.
Hey y'all, if using the agenda here, if you're an independent journalist struggling to get your story out, contact one of our mediators in our chat room for review. Get your story featured on the Hawk Ethernet Radio, part of the Wicked Development Radio Network. Flash submission guidelines: video or portion must not be longer than 3 minutes, or may be played with a startup point of 3 minutes. All material submitted to WDRN is the sole responsibility of the submitter. All content is fair use practice. With your help, WDRN will rise to the top of all available news networks. This has been Defusing the Agenda. Thank you for tuning in.
Seen the study where you wear your smile
The eye will write and proclaim itself with the moves of the unconscious other. I looked and I found hidden two types of relations, those of passivity and those of activity. Can you guess which I condemns and which I praises? Every word I find is a step back, every word a reconciliation, asking and seeking the listener to know the act without the action. Words make believe, and the eye tires of relations bound in speed. Word projection, act dimension says I
heard your words, show me your action, then you will show me your truth in your strength and your weakness of mind. Only then will I know the truth in you, then I'll know the truth in you.
Hello, thank you for joining. We have our new co-host Drew here. If you're
Turn it
just
up
joining,
and let your
please say hello
neighbors
on the
hear a real
chat.
story.
Um,
The Hawk, Ethernet Radio.
Oregon hospitals near breaking point as COVID-19 surge. But this was supposed to be, Oregon was supposed to have herd mentality. Didn't I hear that at one time?
I don't mind.
I believe so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, herd immunity. We already know they have herd mentality.
I don't mind when you say you need me. I don't mind.
Portland, Oregon. Whoops.
You start to steal.
You'd think Oregon would, with all of its so-called success with the vaccine, wouldn't have an outbreak.
Well, of course not. I don't know. This is the one thing I have to go back to. I don't know how far politics could have affected a medical, profession.
Yeah.
Are these doctors so scared in order to keep their license that they're just going along with the politics? What? I really don't know. Portland, Oregon, just 41 intensive care units beds were available in Oregon on Wednesday as COVID-19 cases continue to climb in hospitals near capacity in the state that was once viewed as a pandemic success story. Oregon, which earlier had among the lowest cases per capita, is now shattering its COVID-19 hospitalization records day after day. Oregon, like Florida, Arkansas, and Louisiana, had more people in the hospital with COVID-19 than any... Wait a minute. Florida is not supposed to be compliant. Oregon is, and yet we have the same ratio of people being hospitalized?
That don't make any sense.
Is that what they're saying here? Let's go ahead and post that for the censors so they can tell that I am not coming up with this, that we're reporting directly from the AP. As of Wednesday, 850 coronavirus patients were hospitalized. And, there's where most of the 1,000 people in one day. There's the 850. Now, where's the other, 150 at, right?
Right.
Surpassing the state's record, which set the previous day. Before this month, the hospitalization record was 622 in November during the winter surge when vaccines were not yet available. Well, it seems to me that, the northern states, they kind of go into the winter a little bit sooner. So we're talking about cooler air, more susceptible to common cold. We're at the end of the year. Does this add up to any other flu time? I think so. And I'm not going to blame this on the Delta variant. I'm not going to call it a variant. I'm going to call it the common cold, which varies every year.
Right.
So I do believe I'm going to have to play that silly waiver again. Not so soon, maybe, but for more than a year, Oregon faced some nation's strictest safety measure, county risk levels, mask requirements inside and out, limited gatherings, restaurants closing, people losing their business, people not knowing what to do, people losing their houses, not being able to pay their mortgage, and is now going to be currently kicked out in the street just before winter. Well done, somebody.
Right.
Here's the thing. Now, if the government can control commerce and shut down a restaurant, they sure as heck can control the banking industry and order them to take any back payment, okay, that is currently during this national thing, and relieving people by forcing the banks to swallow not getting their money and to prorate any money after the pandemic is over a long period of time, $40, $50, $100 difference rather than, their entire back rent or back mortgage to be paid at once. And the banks don't want to have anything to do with it because guess what? The banks want the property now.
Right.
So,
that's
they
money in their pocket.
they completely missed. I don't know what's up with that. After all, they could have done that. That's within their thing. So, who's actually causing this issue to be, to this degree? They've made a bad situation, not catastrophic, but literally Armageddon. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Looking at everything that has caused since it started.
Right.
Got havoc all around the world from it.
Exactly. And, again, the banks, I think, have their own agenda and political influence. That has to be true. Let's see here. Let's bring up a little bit more of the groove birds. This is Common Enemy. Common Enema. I think we're all getting a common enema here from the Groove Birds, Common Enemy, right here on WDRN. Thank you for joining.
Too many plans, too many games. common enemy. Yeah. Before we feed this common enemy. Common enemy. Common enemy. Common enemy, yeah.
All right.
All right, thank you for joining. Yeah, we have a little bit of a queuing problem because we're trying to talk about the next segment, okay, offline, so the queuing problem is a little bit difficult here. Also, while we're talking, I can't have the monitor for the music up too loud. People with both COVID-19 shots are fully vaccinated without a booster, Surgeon General says. However, Twitter is totally outraged after Trump calls COVID boosters shots crazy. This is actually the Huffington Post, and then people with both COVID is the Washington Examiner. So, which is real here? Surgeon General Vivek Murthy says Wednesday that people who received 2 Moderna or Pfizer shots are considered fully vaccinated against coronavirus, even though federal officials, politicians, not doctors, will encourage third shots to booster immunity, because it won't booster immunity is the only reason why it's not needed. In a single paragraph, these people completely contradict each other. And I don't understand that.
Yeah.
How can we sit there and accept these things from our government or mainstream media? I just wonder how many times in the last year have we seen the mainstream media come out with alarmist extremism, and then the politics pick it up, and the medical industry is completely ignored.
Yeah. It seems pretty common anymore.
Well,
It's
the
so
thing of it is,
much.
Fossey, I don't want to see his medical license. I want to see his high school diploma. I mean, this bars common sense. It bars any science that I know, and I'm beginning to realize these people are cutting themselves short or using half a word. The proper word is called pseudoscience. Would you agree?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like statute. They sit there and say, you broke the law. No, I broke a statute. What is the actual complete sentence of a statute? Statute at large. It's never been challenged constitutionally, so therefore it's a statute at large. People don't realize that either. So if we use half terms, half steps, and everything is fine. Well, no wonder we have this confusion. It doesn't make any sense to me. We have a Surgeon General, which you assume has a medical license. Okay, and then Twitter, which doesn't.
Yeah.
So are we supposed to allow censorship by Twitter, hiring, some guy or maybe an enthusiastic fan of Twitter is going to volunteer hundreds of hours of time for the privilege of being able to kick somebody? And we have that going on right now on YouTube as well. Are you aware of that, or?
I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to YouTube. I mean, it's just kind of one of those.
Yeah, you can become a YouTube sponsored administrator. Well, if that's the case, how come you're not getting a paycheck? It's driven completely from hype, and it's just as arbitrary whether one of these volunteers working for YouTube is going to censor you, okay, or somebody that has an education to be able to say, no, that's misinformation. Well, what's misinformation? And show me your credentials. As a reporter, I have some pretty serious credentials. As a medical expert, I don't. But as a reporter, I am trained in order to observe oxymorons and contradictions. And I think that, having a show that shows oxymorons and contradictions is not misinformation, because that's the only thing I can find. I mean, there's just nothing out there. Everything, it cancels itself out and comes to null. As far as I'm concerned, I'm continuing on. But they're pushing for the military to mandate COVID shots when it hasn't even reached FDA approval. And I don't see anybody in the military actually compromising our entire standing army over a medical emergency that's a maybe. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I don't see that happening either.
Were you ever a member of the military?
The Army?
Have you ever dealt with military procedures or protocols or anything like that?
Not personally, no.
So, well, I was a 63 Tango. I went over to Germany, and I was trained over there in Germany, and right at the barracks. These displays that they used to have maps in and stuff like that. You go up and buy a new map and stuff. Well, I haven't seen one of those displays in a long time, but they had a rack right when you walked into the barracks, so you could pick up different flyers and stuff. They had IED construction, IED destruction, IED, defusing. They had different things that normally. Well, all these things are being talked about as being bizarre and uncommon. But you have to understand, being a tanker, things like thermite, a big controversy over 9/11. Well, in 1986, they trained me to be very concerned about thermite because it would actually cut a hole in a tank and ignite the ammunition in the tank. And that's the actual use on the battlefield. You take a pipe, you cut the pipe so there's only a 1/16 of an inch between that remains in order to make a slot in it. Okay, you cap the pipe. I'm not going to tell you what you have to use for a fuse because it's not necessarily classified or anything. But I don't want a 16-year-old kid go out there, build one of these things, and me be responsible. So I'm not going to tell you what a fuse it looks like in order to ignite thermite. You can sit there and use a blowtorch, and you will not ignite thermite, by the way.
Yep.
It takes a very special type of fuse in order to do that. But I know, and anybody that was in my MOS or was a tanker, or operator, a driver, a gunner, a commander in a tank, they know. And anybody that was in the support for these tanks, whether it be the cook for the Army that would be assigned to a company of tanks, it wouldn't matter. All of these people know and has been trained, because back when I was in the Army, it was an army of one. We were supposed to be trained in a multitude of basics so that if there was an injury or you lost somebody on the battlefield, there would be someone there in order to take their place.
Yeah. Sounds like it should be that way.
Well, that was the original thing. And they now, my particular MOS, as far as I know, was disbanded. And the reason why is as soon as we went over to Iraq, we had a company of my MOS, which is 63 Tango. We're all vehicle mechanics, and when they actually got that 88, they would have got every 20s manual or maintenance manual or repair manual that we had for everything in our current inventory. And when that happened, I don't think that they allowed that MOS to continue because they had all the eggs in one basket. You get an 88, you've got all your manuals and everything like that. And there was some manuals that we actually carried. There were 30 manuals that are literally engineering and design references. Okay, where that vehicle may have a soft spot. And you just don't need that to fall into the enemy's, view. Let's go ahead and I'm going to play, Soul Joke right here on WDRN. Thank you for joining.
Wicked Development Radio Network is proudly produced from Drones Proper, M31, Satellite 5, 4131 26 15 North, 8804 46 89 West, Planet Earth. The Wicked Development Radio Network complies with all interplanetary treaties and laws. The Wicked Development Radio Network is Y3K compatible and robot friendly.
The Hawk, Ethernet Radio.
and news reports brought to you here on the sub-ether waveband, broadcasting around the galaxy around the clock. And we'll be saying a big hello to all intelligent life forms everywhere. And to everyone else out there, the secret is to bang the rocks together, guys.
Hey, I think I'm getting the hang of doing all this through the computer instead of using my mixing board, and this is the first time I've actually used the mute button for a while since I've actually been in the shop here. So it looks like we're doing pretty good today. So how you doing with this, Drew? Are you enjoying this, or?
Yeah.
What do you think that?
Yeah.
Have you ever been on the radio or done any co-hosting before? Tell us a little about
No.
yourself. We have an audience that needs to know.
I've never done any radio or anything like that. And, you know, I've always worked in the construction field and just done manual labor for most of my life. So this is definitely new for me, but I'm enjoying it.
Right. So you did construction. What kind of construction? Were you a framer, drywaller? What did you specialize in?
I didn't really have a specialty. I kind of done a little of everything.
Kind of a GC, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of plumbing, a little bit of this. So tell me, would you trust one of these politicians, or would you go out and actually be searching for a layman in the field in order to take advice from?
I couldn't trust any of the politicians.
It's kind of like a customer, you know,
after
after they hire you in order to do a job because they don't know how to do it, and then they turn around and try to sit there and micromanage you.
Yeah.
Price goes up real quick. You know, the job's only $25, but if you wish in order to sit there and micromanage, it's now $125. How many times have you walked in and seen a sign on a mechanic's wall like that? You know, it's funny. Being in the field, you know, if a customer comes to me and says the wheel is wrong, there's something wrong with the wheel, and I inspect it and I tell them, you know, I can't find anything wrong. If they insist again, the only thing you can do is replace the wheel and charge them. You know, if they hired you to be an expert and then they insist that you are not an expert, you might as well satisfy their needs. At the least, you know, I mean, that is a service, satisfying, you know, the psychological ailment of the customer. For some reason, we turn out to be psychologists more than we turn out to be. Huh?
It definitely seems that way.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I mean, I had too many customers throughout the years sit there and try to micromanage, you know. And the only thing you can do is just simply grit and bear it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But these politicians, they need to be sticking with politics rather than medical, because none of them are qualified. They're not even qualified in order to make a final decision concerning. And obviously, we have FOSSI, which is basically claiming the same science as to throw out all of our gas masks for the U.S. Army and the military and replace that with paper towels. Do you think that his credibility remains the same?
No.
It seems to me he hasn't even passed high school.
Right, years ago, he's actually had his medical license stripped from him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my mom works and she's been an RN my whole life, and she looked into it a couple of years ago when he started coming out with all of his stuff, and she started looking up his credentials and everything, and apparently he had his license stripped from him, not only in the United States, but in Canada as well.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Listen to the gobbledygook he's giving as a medical expert. And you know, so let's look that up. I'm not sure how to spell his name. Is it F-U-C?
Oh, I have no idea.
K-E-R?
Yeah, saying something about how he'd had his medical license stripped from him for failure to be a proper provider.
Exactly.
And then
All right, I got
he's
something
like-
on Fossey here through Google. It says, open letter to Dr. Fossey regarding the use of hydrochloroquine for treating COVID-19. Well, this has already been in a well-established treatment. I do know that Trump come out and mentioned that. I know that a lot of the medical fields came out and mentioned that. But I think what they did is they says, oh, don't use this. We have something new and better we want to use. And that's the only advice really that we're dealing with. But here, let's go ahead and get Dr. Fossey's name proper here. Again, I'm a little bit confused on how to spell that. I hope he does not forgive me. So, okay. Let's see here. Infectious disease, U.S. Health. Oh, he's all over the place. Fossey and Brick hold no medical license and are not doctors. Here we go. Apparently, this may be true. You know, and again, I'm going to have to play the damn waiver. Oh, this is a PDF. So this is an official, this is certificated. Let's see if we can find another one, because I don't want to go through. Dr. Fossey is a board certified in allergy and immunity. MD, Dr. Fossey, MD, all infectious disease, medical doctors, Anthony Fossey, NIAID director, state medical. Let's see. What would be the proper term? Would it be revoked or suspended or what?
Probably revoked.
You think so? Okay, let's try that.
And it is questionable the term they use.
Fossey schooling of Rand Paul draws cheer. Fossey announces U.S. intention to resume major role in global something. Social network for doctors is full of vaccine disinformation. Well, the fact is these people are already qualified in order to identify disinformation. Excuse me, disinformation or misinformation. Point-by-point pandemic smackdown. Oregon doctor's license revoked after, the word is revoked. Let's see, SARS-CoV was not created using genes from HIV, says Fossey. Well, if it wasn't created, how could it be created by HIV? Or created by Chevy Corporation or anything? This doesn't make any sense.
I'm full of contradictions.
The thing of it is, I doubt very seriously, just like Obama's birth certificate, we're not going to get it. Okay, and then even after we proved that that was a falsified document, oh, that's okay. I don't get it. You know, we can have the CIA go out and legitimize an otherwise illegitimate president because of falsification in his application. Well, that lie itself is enough in order to sit there and impeach him and toss him out on his rear within 24 hours using a remonstrance. Have you ever heard the term or legal term remonstrance?
No, I haven't.
Well, you know what a lawsuit is, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that the Senate is actually considered a court as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the term in the Senate is remonstrance, a grievance. You can file a grievance with and file a lawsuit, or you can file a grievance with a demand. As long as your facts have already been certified, you can just simply say, "Oh, well, they owe me money. Forget about the trial. Just give me my money. It's already been documented." You see what I'm saying? And That's what back in the day when we first had it, before we had all these county courts and everything, it was up to the Senate in order to what? Handle the grievance. And they passed that into the criminal and civil courts instead of, in order to reduce the load of the Senate. And that happened back in the day because not too many people even was able to read and write, and to hire somebody that could read and write and then find somebody that can read and write well enough in order to submit that to the Senate was actually pretty rare. As soon as we was able to bring the population up to a sixth grade reading level, which is an oxymoron, you have to go to journalist school and college in order to learn to take all information and boil it down to a sixth grade level. Did you know that?
When will you be available?
Half hour.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's one of the prerequisites of going to journalist school, and that's what they teach you, how to dummy it down and water it down so you have the broadest understanding. And unfortunately, when I heard these numbers were in the late 90s. The last time I heard these statistics, and it still was at a sixth grade level. The average American reads at a sixth grade level.
Wow.
It's rather shocking, I think.
Well, then, like, I don't know, I've seen some of the stuff from our schools those last few years, and it's perplexing all on its own. Like, new math.
Right.
It makes no sense.
No, actually
Why
it
go-
does. You see, if you tamper with somebody's natural logic, okay, 2 plus 2 is 4. Or 2 plus 2, move the 2 over here and make a nice little picture of a cow. And then go over here.
Right.
And then here, look, I can sit there and I can sit here and show you that elements of what you just did, and then and you take these elements and now you have 4. Well, you've just created a Rube Goldberg machine that you have any entryway into the calculation and any exit way to come up with any conclusion that you have, that you want. So
Yeah.
they're tampering with people's logic in order to be able to better confuse them. And that was the conclusion of Common Core a long time ago. The math is not making any sense. Teachers struggle with it. They tried. They actually tried, but they still want to introduce this Common Core and then turn around and create racism in the school by teaching that, oh, you're better than this guy because this guy's race 100 years ago did something wrong.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry, it wasn't the race. I'm sorry, the Italians, the Germans, even the blacks allowed it. Why? They didn't pick up the fallen gun and carry on the fight. The same thing that we have in Afghanistan. We have 5,000 walking, talking, breathing, able-bodied people sitting there trying to evacuate the country when the only thing they have to do is an about face and pick up the nearest gun. They can sit there and you know, free their country. Instead, they're all running. Why? Because they've been taught to do that. You know, and there's a huge class separation between those that can, those that are trained, and those that are a victim. Yeah, it's just outrageous. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring up a little bit more music here. This is ADD. Of course, it's Sell Out right here on WDRN. Thank you for joining.
If we wanted country, we'd go kick a cow.
Just look around and see how everything has gone down. You'd sell me out, but I was never ever in doubt. We sell lies when happiness is all but died. Sell you, sell me. Do you think I've got this coming? Looks like I fail. Hold me down to keep from screaming. Sell you, sell me. Do you think I've got this coming? Sell you, sell me. Do you think I've got this coming? Looks like I fail. Hold me down to keep from screaming.
Yeah.
2 seconds. All right, we're back. And in one of the most disturbing dependencies on fake science I've ever seen, police jailed a man for murder. Algorithm was the only key evidence. A computer. Okay. Well, yes, I'll agree that the computer's not going to lie, just simply like the video is not going to lie until you realize that there's no video that the computer is analyzing, and the fact that the only thing that they have is a microphone that recorded a loud noise at a specific time. And that's all it took in order to convict. Out of maybe 100 people on the street or in cars within range of this microphone. And I am familiar with the technology. I'm a little bit hesitant to discuss this, the actual technology. And for Chicago to claim that, oh, this is top secret technology. No, we were using this in order to zero rifles. I mean, the accuracy is within 1/8 of an inch of this equipment. Okay? However, it has to be in an open field, and you have to calculate all reflections, audio reflections. And now this is performed when they calibrate this equipment. They will set up their monitoring devices and fire a shot within the equipment in order to record the echo. And then the echo will give false positives going all different directions. But after they fire the first shot, they know where the first shot was fired, and they will pinpoint that on a map and calibrate their equipment to that shot. And then any other shot, you can tell where that shot is being fired from on the map. But this will not be true if we have changing traffic. Let's say a 18-wheeler pulls into the middle of the traffic. That 18-wheeler was not calculated, so it throws your numbers off. Something that they were working on in the 80s, and we actually used, this equipment was accurate within 1/8 of an inch, so we could actually zero our rifle and hit the center of the target at 300 meters. Okay. Chicago, Michael Williams' wife pleaded with him to remember their fishing trips with the grandchildren, how he used to braid her hair, anything to jar him back to the world outside the concrete walls of the Cook County Jail. His 3 daily calls to her had become a lifeline, but when they dwindled down to only a few a week, the 65-year-old felt that he could not go on. He made plans to take his own life with stockpiled stash of pills, which unfortunately you can get anything in Chicago jail. I mean, the only thing you have to have is a few noodles out of commissary, and they'll give you anything. Or you can
All
sit
right.
there and, say, okay, next week I'll give you the rest of my commissary. You can actually acquire anything. You want to commit suicide? Just simply stock up your box at commissary and just offer the entire box. You'll get whatever you need. Williams was arrested last year, August, accused of murdering a young man from the neighborhood who asked him for a ride during a night of unrest during police brutality. The key, oh my God, you know what we're talking about here. August? What was going on in August? That was the Black Lives Matter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have the Black Lives riot going on, and they're not mentioning this. And a guy's sitting there trying to get refuge, driving with the guy. And this guy is an elderly guy, never had problems probably. The key evidence came from video of a car driving through an intersection and a loud bang picked up by acoustic sensors. And again, backfire? What? Prosecutors said audio technology powered by a secret algorithm. No, there's no secret algorithm, people. It's called triangulation. But unfortunately, they don't know what that is. That's secret now. We've had triangulation for years and years. But the fact that they have deployed it would be an intrusion, and that's probably connected with what? Their cell phone stingrays? Oh, it's all secret. And no, they produce this evidence as a conclusion rather than producing the evidence itself. I keep trying to figure out how they can get away with using this technology like that against me. Williams was jailed for nearly a year before prosecutors, citing insufficient evidence, asked the judge to dismiss the case.
Wow.
So something is shaky as, again, I'm familiar with the work. My father was licensed with the FCC, not only as a telegraph radio master's license, but also as an investigator, a private investigator, electronic investigations, electronic forensics. That was my father's job. And they're not talking to people like this. Again, these politicians are just, oh, well, we got it in place. We have this little one paper, that was made in order to sell this product to us. And look, it does this. And that's all? These people don't know this equipment. They have no clue of what the equipment is or what the technical requirements are in order to make this equipment accurate.
All right.
And if you were charged because some computer said that you were someplace you weren't, how can you sit there and argue or cross-examine the computer if they're going to sit there and make the computer unexaminable?
Right.
Oh, wait, we already have an example of that, don't we? The Texas election results. Go figure, right?
Right.
That's ridiculous. All right, well, I do appreciate you being with us, Drew. Will you be able to join us again by this weekend? Do you plan on making this a regular stay with us?
Yeah. I'll definitely be able to give you a call Saturday morning.
You bet. Saturdays are good. We can actually run a little bit into overtime,
All right.
Have some fun that way. Pixie sticks? Little things with the powder in them?
Yeah.
Well, today I am going to be making pixie sticks with honey. It's actually a little bit of a fun thing because we have a centrifuge.
Oh, nice.
And what you do is you put the pixie stick, you have to guide it into a hole and lock it into position, and then you spin it up and it spins all the honey into the pixie stick, and then you seal the end. Well, the biggest thing of it is it takes forever to pull out the ones you just spun and put in new ones. So it actually turned into kind of a game how fast that we can sit there and change out a rack, And it's actually a little bit, it's a coordination thing. And me and the boss here has got a competition whether we can keep up with each other. So we've been going through like a gallon. It only takes about 15, 20 drops to fill one of these things. So We have to do about a gallon of honey today, and we're wondering if we're going to be able to get it done in a half hour. We've got kind of a personal bet. He doesn't bet ever, but we just got a personal challenge. We can get this done in a half hour, but normally it takes about 45 minutes. Yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's just so annoying that without making a game out of it, it just you just stare out into space. So anyway, I do appreciate you joining us today, Drew.
Yeah, it's definitely nice.
A little bit different. It's something you hadn't done before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can find our sign out here. Here it is. I do appreciate everybody joining today. Drew will be joining us again in the future. And everybody, you have a great day, and may your God be with you. Have a great day.
5 to 1 against and falling, 4 to 1 against and falling, 3 to 1, 2, 1. Probability factor of 1 to 1. We have normality. I repeat, we have normality. Anything you still can't cope with is therefore your own.